What is up, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. Let's bring that music down a bit. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name is Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I always remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the conversation so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And as tradition goes around here, the first thing that we always do is go ahead and check out to see who are the first Camera Junkie members of the crew to step into the chat. All right. Thank you all for hanging out if you are here because a little bit late, but just taking advantage of the location that I'm in currently. So, with that being said, right off the bat, we have Sammy Superstar saying, "What's up?" Okay, let's get rid of this timer. Perfect. All right. And next, okay, Sam also says, "Hopefully, I had a fun time at Creator Camp." I absolutely did, and that's why I'm late because we were taking advantage of the situation and just came back from a really good taco restaurant named Barrio in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is just about 20 minutes away. But the wait was a little bit longer than expected, and for that reason, we decided to still take the time. And I was like, hey, I gotta indulge because I was hanging out with none other than Doc Rock, Paul Duncan, and Gretchen Shepard, all members of the Camera Junkie crew, and we were hanging out in Portsmouth, having good dinner with even better company, and it was just an amazing fun time because now that all the test. Okay, it looks like that's working now. So we have audio again. It's funny because I was just gonna mention I just checked like when this is gonna start. That I said I'm about to change this microphone because it's about to die on me, and it absolutely did. Now I'm gonna plug it in right now to see if it'll turn back on or if it'll just go to charge. But yeah, Sammy, my mic did die right on the spot. As we can see right now, we're using the ZV-1F 3 capsule microphone like I did last week. I wanted to use my Rode Wireless Go's, but mostly to promote Doc Rock's pop filters. Well, I got this one right here. This is for the MV7, but as you can see, I was using it for this microphone as well. That's basically why I got it. I don't actually have an MV7, but I wanted to get a colored pop filter that sounds better for my Rode Wireless Go's. So even though it's not connected, that was the plan to have the Doc Rocks pop filters. And if you haven't gotten yours already, please check it out, docrock.live/merch, and you should be able to order. Excuse me. You should be able to order your own Doc Rock pop filters. Highly recommend it. And Creator Camp, a lot of the creators got their hands on some of these, right? And everybody was saying, oh my God, it feels like velvet. And that's what I had mentioned from the get go. Not only do these look great and sound great, but they feel great. And it's just going to give you another reason to get your hands on a good microphone. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out Doc Rock's Pop Filters, Doc Pops. All right. And let's go back to the chat. It's a lot harder when you're only working with one screen. All right, so let's get rid of this. Okay, so Sammy, I did have a lot of fun at Creator Camp, and my mic cut out, so I'm gonna repeat what I was saying. I was having dinner with none other than Doc Rock, Paul Duncan, and Gretchen Shepard, which I can see is here in the chat. And we were at this amazing restaurant called Barrio, a taco joint in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. For that reason is why the later than normal stream. But I had to take advantage of hanging out with such amazing people, and I was saying good food and even better company, and for that reason I was soaking it all up. Now that all the festivities and everything from creator camp are done, and all of our job requirements, so to speak, are done as well, now it's a little bit more of a like a vacation vibe. Tomorrow I'm going to basically set the day to unwind and repack, and I will be packing everything up into the van, into the suitcases with time. And with that, I will then be checking out Monday. And Monday is when I have planned to drive back up to New Hampshire to actually get my new iPhone 16 Pro Max, 1 terabyte, and I'm super excited. People were making fun of me over here because I'm walking around with three phones, and it's true because I'm limited to the capacity of 256 to each of them, and for that reason, I'm going to consolidate all of the data into 1 terabiscuit phone, and I'm excited for this. So that's the plan as of right now. But tomorrow is just gonna be kind of like a laid back, cool day to take things easy and see also what we get into, because there's still quite a few of us that are gonna be hanging around in the New Hampshire, Amesbury, Newburyport area. You understand? Just catching the vibe. So. Mhm. Yep, and here's Gretchen saying hi to me and to Aiden. And that is true. She's saying, Sammy, we miss you at camp. We did, but we miss you whenever we're anywhere near the New York area and we don't get to see you. So that's on you, though, bro. You made yourself that like valuable that people miss you when you don't show up. So remember that. And we also have Yolanda with Raven Sock saying hello. And Yolanda was somebody that I actually got to meet in person in Creator Camp as well. So now it's official. We met IRL and it was just an amazing event. I'm still just glowing off of it because so many things. And I have a couple of stories for some of you who is just for some of you who weren't here, right? And some of you who were, but there was just some crazy events that ended up happening just last night that I was still like, did that really happen? But it's just amazing nonetheless. Sammy says, hopefully sometime soon I will come at Images by Gretchen. Yep, we hope the same thing. We also have Kevin Cox saying what's up to everyone. The Visual Dad, how are you doing, bro? He's saying hello to all. Stephen Wicks, which was also here at Creator Camp, saying hey to me and to everyone. And none other than Mr. Moderator, someone that I was just hanging out with minutes ago, right? We're still, yeah, less than an hour. So less than an hour ago, I was just hanging out with this individual, getting some good food. Oh, let's resize that correctly. And Sammy says your mic got muted. Yes, thank you. And this is a good time to remind you to hit the like button if you haven't done so already. It's highly appreciated, and it is a requirement if you are enjoying yourself. So we'll just leave it at that. It just says list your audio or something. Yep, mute is what Paul's telling me. Yo, lost the audio, I guess is what you were saying. Yeah, it died. Now it's charging, but I digress. I'll just leave it there. Not too worried about it. We'll rock with the ZV-1F. It's good enough, right? It's definitely GE. Good enough. And Gretchen says, I'm back. Okay, let's see where we're at. Says now it's working. Yeah, we switched it up. It was funny because it was the transmitter that I had. So I'll bring it up to the screen. This little transmitter right here was telling me that the battery was dying. And I was like, it says it's dying on number 1. Is this number 1? And yes, it was. So there it goes. And this is Paul sharing Doc Rock's merch line. Thank you very much. Says, what's the next stop of the trip? Well, the next stop will still be the Apple Store, so I can get my new iPhone. But I am visiting friends. I have plans to visit friends in South Carolina, Georgia, and most likely in Orlando as well as I make my trek back down to Miami. Paul says he's sleeping in tomorrow. I think we're all gonna do our best at sleeping in tomorrow. But I was mentioning this to Paul, to quite a few people here at eCamp's Creator Camp. One of them being Anna Hale from ENN, right? And this is the best way that I can explain it because I tell this to everyone. I sleep an average of 4 to 5 hours a night, and people are like, "Why so little?" And I'm like, "It's not so little. It's what my body requires." So this is the best analogy that I've come up with so far. Let's say you had an iPhone, right, that would charge up 100% in 8 hours. But now the new model iPhone charges up in 4 hours, or let's say 5 hours, right, to 100%. The thing is, after 5 hours, even if it stays on the charger for another hour, it's never going to get more than 100%. It's never going to go to 120% because it stayed in charge for another hour or so. So that's the same thing that's gone on with me. I go to sleep at midnight, and at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., the most, like my body just snaps awake because I've reached 100% charge. And that's basically how it works. So last night I went to sleep at 3:30 a.m. because once everything had settled down, I still took my own time to relax, and I played some games on my Vision Pro right here in the hotel, right? And then I, broke into a sweat, so I then hit the shower, and by the time I hit the bed, it was 3:30, and with no alarm or nothing to do exactly in the morning, I woke up at 8:30 just the same. And it's pretty interesting. Even if I were to set an alarm, my body will just wake up like about a half an hour, 20 minutes before that, and I'll be ready to rock and roll. So it seems weird, but I'm being very fortunate with it, so I'm taking advantage. Sammy says, if you're stopping by the New York area, would you like to see you guys soon? Okay, well, it's not a not possibility because I was also thinking I might make a quick stop at Mr. Better in Homes, that B&H store down there, just depending on what, maybe just to visit, just to say what's up to the crew over there at Better in Homes. Oh, Sammy's got a question. He says, did I bring that up? Let's see. He says, how did the FX30 work for you at camp? I think if I could put it in one word, would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, the entire rig, the battery, I never was lack of power. On the third or on the fourth day was when I filled up the 360 video cam. Like that's when the card said no more recording, so I should have a good amount of behind the scenes of me doing like pretty much everything in the creator camp. I have so many hours of footage to cull through, but at the same time, there was a shot list, so we took advantage of that, or better said, I took advantage of that. And as I was going along, I was just getting the shots and just checking them off the list. I was trying to get as much slow motion B roll. Just to kind of like elongate the files that we're going to be using on, but also to the point that I'll be able to slow down the files that I shot regularly. Um, what else can I say? Oh, it was probably the hit of Creator Camp. I cannot tell you how much attention that my FX30 rig garnished. Like everyone was just looking at it and going like, "Whoa, what do you got here?" And I had questions galore. Now I do want to send a shout out to my digital sister, so to speak. Digital content creator sister, India Delgado. She was supposed to be here at Creator Camp, and she was actually supposed to do an event called Beers and Gear, where you could have a couple of beers and talk about cameras, lighting, photography, and all the gear that's involved. Laura Clapp Davison was on another table talking about Shure microphones and doing demonstrations. There was another table, but I got so busy myself. Well, to explain, that I wasn't even able to see who was there. But the shout out is that India did not make it to camp, and we wish her all the best. She got into a car accident, and while she was traveling to Creator Camp, so we wish her all the best. And Katie was just letting her know, hey, like, don't worry about it. Take care of you, which is always what's most important, and that we'll see her in the next event, and that we wish her all the best as we do. Thoughts and prayers or go out to India. But it did open an opportunity because the spot that she was supposed to do needed to be filled. And that's when Katie came to me and said, hey, would you be able to fill in for the beers and gears? And of course, as always, I'll do anything for Ecamm. So, of course, I said right away. And I was also very lucky that instead of me going ahead and looking for an individual lens or something that I wanted to use while I was at Creator Camp, I literally just would chuck the entire bag. Excuse me. So, for example, I wanted to use my Zeiss 55 millimeter full frame lens, but instead of opening my full frame lens bag and pulling that lens out and then looking for another place to put it, I said I'm rocking the minivan, so why should I like compromise because I don't have to fit to the norms of an airplane. So I just threw the bag of lenses, full frame lenses in the back, along with the bag of my APS-C lenses, and I just because I had them already organized, I said just throw them in the back, and if I need them, I'll use them. And it was very beneficial because, once again, this opportunity came up and I was prepared. I had extra tripods to put a section for tripods. I had a variety of different cameras. I had my Nikon ZFC. I had my ZV-1F, which is what we're using right now. I had the FX30. I also had my A6600, and all of those were available like on display so that you can like tweak with them and like get your hands on because that was kind of part of the event. I was also able to put my drop stand, for my lights, out onto the side, and I put my Ulanzi LT028 40-watt battery powered light with softbox, basically just hanging out in the middle of, like the displays, actually lighting one of the displays that I put there with my lenses. And people were then also asking like, how is this working, and giving them the explanation on how I use this wireless like lighting setup to basically be mobile anywhere that I go. So that all of that was like a big hit, and even to the point where I was able to share the experience of the Apple Vision Pro for the first time to a couple of the campers that were willing to put it on, because I had it available for anyone who wanted to try it for the first time. And Cheryl from, well, actually, Cheryl, which is Kathy Hester's wife, she was the one who tried it, and Neil Berman from the Creator Camp TV. You might have seen him on the Ecamm channel doing that. He was also the other one who tried it out. But like I said, it was just a blast. Um, I was supposed to go to dinner before the beers and gear. Um, because I needed to set up, I couldn't go to dinner, so they brought me a sandwich so that I can eat. And when the sandwich got there was when people actually started coming through the door at 7 o'clock asking questions. Excuse me. So I put the sandwich off to the side, and like my body didn't even require me to eat anymore. I was just so happy helping other creators and answering their questions when it comes to photography and videography. You see this guy back here? He's getting up on everything. Just he's photobombing my live stream. Look at this guy. He's the cutest thing. So Uh, I absolutely love it, and he's been with me this entire time. My life's co-pilot, and the amount of love and care that this guy has gotten from the Ecamm community in this event, man, like there was just people coming up to me and be like, "I want to be his adopted aunt. Is that okay?" I was like, "I'm not gonna say no." Like if you want to share this much love for my boy, I am more than happy to advocate to receive that for him, and I'll be happy to stay connected to anyone who wants to share that with Aiden. It's just it's just such a huge blessing to be able to do something that you're passionate about, get paid for it, and then also be catered to the point where, the makers of this amazing program, Ken and Glenn, the twin brothers. I'm always boasting about them because they are like the most wholesome, genuine people that you could probably ever meet, and it's to the point where he's playing with Aiden off to the corner. Like I was able to record this little snippet of video where I have Ken, the OG maker of Ecamm, just hanging out with my son for like a good 15-20 minutes and just playing with him in whatever he asks. And that type of like love and admiration is not lost on me at all. And it's for that reason why I have such extra love for KNG and Katie and the entire Ecamm fam, the entire crew. Um, it's just this this community is second to none. And one of the sayings that I was hearing throughout camp is like, the software is free and you pay for the community because it really does feel that way. Um, this is something really special, and I'm just very fortunate that I'm part of it. And I was acknowledged pretty well for my efforts throughout camp, and also I made some amazing connections that I would have never thought would have ever been possible. And one of them happened in New Hampshire. But once again, let me go see exactly what's going on in the chat. All right. Paul says that B&H is closed until the 27th. That's good to know and is even better for my credit card. Says if I can step away from college, I would like to see you. College is local still, so maybe I'll get to New York pretty easily. Well, even if you're not in New York, if you can let me know where you're at, I can see if maybe I can route myself closer to you. You understand? So that it's less effort on you. But we'll see if that's a possibility. Says all of the camera stores in New Jersey are now open, but no B&H. Kevin says, I'm so excited to get my ZVE10 rigged up. Thanks for the list. Oh, so happy to help. And this is just Kevin because he messaged me about the list that I have. And you know what? Do I have Notion here? I'm not sure if I have Notion installed here. Does not look like it. Because I would have shared that list. Or Kevin, you know what? You have moderator power. So if it's possible and you can share the link that I shared to you about that list, it'll be highly appreciated. Just to give you a little bit more context, my FX30 rig, this guy back here, oh, my FX30 rig that I use for Creator Camp, battery, like handle mods, like everything that I used to put this together is on a list, ready, like with all the links to the Amazon to get them delivered. So, like I did set the entire thing up and I sent that link to Kevin, and he's using it itself to rig up his ZVE10 in a similar fashion. So, if you want that list, Kevin, if you're available to share that with us. If not, I will try to do my best at re-putting that into the description after the fact. But let's continue. Oh my God, Peter Gregg is in the house. He's saying hi to all. Says it's good to see me and Aiden, and I hope that we're enjoying the segment of this event. Be safe. Peter, you couldn't have said it any better. Um, This is basically how it happened. I had already designed to get into town a day early before the event's kickoff party, which isn't officially part of the event. You understand? It's not part of the workshops or anything. It's literally just like a, hey, let's get to see each other type of party that he hosts or that they host before the event even starts. And I showed up the day before on Monday, and I still was feeling FOMO. Like, seeing other creators already here, like helping behind the scenes and part of the staff, I was already feeling like, oh my God, I'm missing so much. And even with that, I got here a day before, and so much happened after the fact that when, Wednesday rolled around and Ken actually did a keynote, or Ken, I think they both did it, but Ken and Glenn, but they were doing the morning keynote, and he was saying, well, guess what? Today things get started, and I was just blown away because I had already reached a point where like this was 100% worth it, and it was actually even before the event had started, and I think that a lot of people felt the same way. So it's just this event is, I don't think there's anything to compare. Like, it's so unique the way that it's set up, where it's designed for you to actually connect with other creators and network in the correct way. That I'm just very grateful to be part of it, and myself very grateful to have met some people and made some contact that I believe will truly be beneficial to me, to Aiden, and to our goals in the future. One of them is a content creator that does warehouse type of videos, like industry construction, and he's doing very well in his niche. And he's going to be doing an event in Tampa next month that I might be joining him to do some of the work. So looking forward to do that. But let me continue here in the chat. Looks like the tacos are getting to me. Peter Gray says, "You're an amazing dad, Lewis. Thank you, sir." I think, look at this guy. Look at this guy climbing up everywhere. What do you want, man? Aiden, say hi to everybody. You're over here distracting me because you're my favorite distraction. Mr. Distractiful. That's what I call him. He's my biggest and my most favorite distraction. I'm gonna play with you in a minute. Here, you know what? Let me take off your socks. I did promise you this. Okay. I took off his socks because he wanted to take off his socks while we were at the restaurant. And I promised him, I said, no, the socks have to stay on because it is pretty cold outside. But I promise that I will take them off once we're back at the hotel. So there you go. I kept my promise. He says, I think he got a bit bigger than the last time I saw him. LOL. Absolutely. And Peter, we should be getting in contact very soon because if Randy has reached out to you, he had told me about a situation where we're going to be doing a quick exchange. So I can't wait for the fact to actually see you again in person. You're definitely going to notice the difference on Aiden's size because he's definitely had a growth spurt since the last time you saw him, and pretty much ever since anybody had seen him, just even people that saw him in January were still just so shocked at how big he is right now because he had a pretty big growth spurt this past year. No, they're amazing. Sammy says Ecam community is pretty cool. No, they're pretty amazing. I have yet to meet someone that I disliked, and everybody there was, it's just phenomenal. Like I was just having like amazing conversations with just about any person that I was able to get in contact with. The other night, so sorry, I'm lacking some oxygen, but this is never too far off. So I went to a restaurant called, what was it called? It's an Italian restaurant. I'm running a blank on the name right now, but um, we were having dinner there, and I was fortunate enough to sit next to a couple named Fred and Shay. And once again, they're from like Syracuse, New York. An amazing conversation. Such awesome, wonderful people. And I couldn't have enjoyed my time or dinner any more than having a conversation with them. With Tyler, who's also part of the Ecam fam. He's the behind the scenes who works directly with the company, and and who was the other? Oh, it was AG, another content creator. So, um, us five, Aiden hanging in the background were like kind of the end of one table of this big table, family style, like Italian restaurant. And it was, like I said, once again, one of the best conversations and super cool. And I will never forget Fred and Shay till the day that I die because of these types of like connections and relationships. And that's what eCamp's Creator Camp really does. It really does foster that type of relationship. And for that, I say, I've only been to a couple of other different types of events, right? In the creator space, but it seems that a lot of them could be similar to non-creator events, right? Where as soon as your obligations are done, you want to bounce. This was far from it. I think everyone who was here wanted to stay as long as possible. Now there were a couple of hiccups, and I also want to send a shout out to Alec Johnson from Take One Tech. He was here to do a presentation, but his son, unfortunately, got sick, and him being from Thailand, he couldn't wait another second, so he had to hop on a plane and leave immediately, so that like after 24 hours, he would then be home because it's such a long trip from where we are here. So, big ups and like all the well wishes to his son and his family, and just let him know that he was missed here at Creator Camp as well. Oh, I think I'm fading. I think the tacos are getting to me. Gretchen says Aiden plays a mean game of Gun Wars. Yes. And once again, thank you to Gretchen because we were hanging out. I still had some responsibilities of dropping off the equipment of yesterday's production, the award ceremony, and I had basically the entire kit in the backside of the minivan. So I had to stop by the Ecamm HQ to drop all that off, and Gretchen was so nice enough to just hang out with Aiden and just sit back and relax, giving me the time and the ease of mind to get that done as soon as possible. And it was just so nice to see them, hanging out together, and Aiden really taking advantage of Gretchen's time as well, because I know he was. All right, and Kevin is sharing the extension. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And that is the list on Notion. Man, I was just like, what was that list again? Come on, brain, function. So yeah, I was running a bit of a blank, but yes, it's the Notion page that has every Amazon link listed for the FX30 cage or whichever cage that you might be thinking about setting up yourself. Now that that's done and actually Creator Camp's done, I didn't have the time, but I am going to be making a video of how I put all of these pieces together in the exact location so that you can replicate the same exact rig that I have. Like I can't tell you how many compliments I got from my FX30 rig. Um, like just the entire time, even when it wasn't the beers and gear, it was just like from day one, people were asking me like, "What? This looks so amazing. Please tell me what you got going on here." And I basically came to like a routine because of how many times I've repeated saying the same exact thing, even though it was just like a lot of fun. It just became like I did this, I did that, and there's certain details that I like went super OCD with my camera rig. And he says, "Oh, thanks again for the quick turnaround, packing and dealing with all the hurricane stuff." Yeah, um, brother, anything for you, sir. You've been a camera junkie, like an original junkie, like an OJ. So, yeah, like anything for my original junkies who've been here from like day one and are still here 4 years down the road. So don't think that that's lost on me, and brother, it's so highly appreciated. Says list with links for the Sony FX30 setup. Yep, appreciate you, sir. Sammy says it's gonna be 1 year since I have my FX30 in a couple of weeks. Man, I just got mine, like months ago, and it's quickly jumped to the charts of it being my favorite piece of tech. Um, this camera is great. It absolutely is, and I even have some headshots for Daniel Chi. So Daniel Chi, I need to get into editing his photos. We took advantage of being at this really cool location called Alnova, Alnova, I believe. Alnova, or was it with a B? It's either V or B, but it's either Alnova or Alnova. But I think it was with a B. So let's just leave it at that. So Alnova was the location. It's really like this location filled with like trails in the wood that have like contemporary art all over the place. It was really really interesting and very very pretty. The location where we held the award ceremonies for the ending of the event had a huge fireplace and mantle. It literally looked something out of like Lord of the Rings, so to speak, of like sheer size, like these gigantic foyer rooms, so to speak, with high, tall ceilings and like amazing woodwork. It was really something like to see, and I got all of it on video. Right, I got recordings of just about everything, and thanks again to Katie that she gave me a shot list of what she was looking to get out of camp, and I think because of it, I was able to make sure that we like met all of the requirements, so to speak, all of the asks that Katie had for this event, and I have footage of just about everything. I think the one thing that I didn't have footage of was the beers and gear, because instead of me recording it, I actually had to run it. And I was in the middle of doing it, and I didn't get the chance to get like footage of the event at the same time. So, like I say, you can't be on stage and in the audience at the same time. So while I was on stage, I didn't have the capability of doing anything else. It says with a B. Okay, so yeah, Alnoba. So I was right with the B. Thank you, Paul. But yes, everyone, now I'm gonna share with you a crazy story, and this is the one that's just kind of to cap it off because it was pretty interesting. Now, we decided to go to lunch to the same town of Portsmouth, just north of Amesbury, yesterday, and this was kind of after the award ceremony that I had been mentioning, and it was kind of where we would well what words well what Ecamm called their Ecamm Creator Camp excursions, meaning once everything like all the workshops were done and we had finished the award ceremony, the afternoon was set up for a variety of different events where you could select what you wanted to do. There was a ropes course. There was what else was there? There was a couple of other things that you had the ability to do, right? I believe one of them was to go to Ovedia's, like chocolatiers, and like and get like a behind the scenes experience of what they do for their like award winning chocolates, how they make them and everything like that. And I'm guessing maybe to try some as well. But then one of the other excursions was to go to Portsmouth, right, and do a like photography, videography scavenger hunt. Now, when everybody left the award ceremony, I was tasked to stay back and break everything down and put it into my trunk. So that's where I got stuck behind. And then when I reached out to Doc Rock when I was done with that, and I said, "Hey, what's your 20? Like, what's your location of this scavenger hunt?" He sent me back a picture of like a sandwich and some chips that he was having in Portsmouth. So that led me to understand that they were already eating, and I was like even further behind than what I thought. So at that moment, I was making the executive decision, and I said, "You know what? I'm gonna just like I'm gonna need to grab some food on the way just so that I can make the most of like the adventure that we were going to have in New Hampshire. So I set the GPS, right? I set the GPS to Doc's location that he was in Portsmouth, right? And he's walking around because he was sharing his location. And as I was already heading up that direction, I put like find some fast food, and the only options that I had was like Burger King, Burger King, Burger King, or a sandwich shop that added 1 minute to my total trip time because it was in downtown Portsmouth in New Hampshire. So I put it into GPS, add the sandwich shop, and it so happens to be like one of their best or most well known sandwich shops called Bennett's. And I go straight there, and I don't waste time. As soon as I get in there, the girl's like, "What can I get you?" I said, "What's a good hot sandwich?" They said, "The cheesesteak." I go, "Perfect. I'll take one of those. Small or large?" I said, "Large." She says, "Onions, peppers, and mushrooms, okay?" "No mushrooms." "What do you got to drink?" She points at a box, like a cooler full of stuff, and I grab an iced tea because I don't see any lemonade. And I let her know that I don't see any lemonade. So she says, "Oh, because we have house lemonade. Would you like that?" And I go, "Sure." So I get a house lemonade with very little ice. And now I'm eating my sandwich, waiting to meet up with Doc Rock on the scavenger hunt. So, with that being said, I then share my location with Doc Rock and show him that I'm at Bennett's. But before I got to Bennett's sandwich shop, which is something that I don't want to miss, as I was walking down the sidewalk, I see a Lotus Elise. It's like a very car person's little two doors coupe sports car. It's for the car enthusiast. It's not just an everyday person would know this vehicle. And it was in a very interesting purplish color. And right away I was like, I think Doc Rock would like this. So I pull out my phone and I snap a picture of it. And this is even before I got to the sandwich shop. So just try to put it into context and make sure that I'm giving you the correct story. So now I've taken the picture of the nice car, and that's when I actually go to Bennett's and order the sandwich that I had mentioned with the lemonade. And I get it, and I start eating. I share my location, and I see Doc Rock is about a couple of blocks away, and he starts making his way towards me. I'm guessing it's like I was like, okay, so they're just gonna come here instead of me meet up with them, and that's exactly what happened. Except they didn't have any idea that that's the place where I was having a sandwich. So apparently Doc never checked his GPS or the find my location and that I shared with him through a chat. And for it was just luck of the draw that Anna Hill and Fulgens were doing like a photo op with Doc and Mary Lou Mandel. So they just so happened that they were looking for like a glass, window to get some like reflection shots or the lack of reflection shots, but something to look like she was working in the cafe. And there was something weird that neither mine nor Doc Rock's circular polarized filter was able to get the glare and get past like the haziness that glass was providing. So they did their best, and that's when we finished that up. And Doc decides like, hey, you know what? We're gonna start walking back up basically to where my vehicle is located. So as we're walking back up, what happens that Doc notices the same exact vehicle that I had just snatched a picture of. Right? He sees the Lotus Elise in that, like pinkish purplish color, and he was like, ooh, that's my colors. Those are like my Doc Rock colors. So I found that funny that I go, yeah, so much so that I actually took a picture of the same car before you saw it just now because I wanted to show you afterwards in case this would have never happened. So as we're talking about the pictures and the vehicle itself, but none other than the owner of the vehicle just shows up like with a guitar and was like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And we start getting into a pretty cool conversation about his vehicle, about the Lotus Elise, and he had mentioned that he has a friend, Michael, and his friend Michael went and like took his Lotus out for a test drive and had a blast, and he was just like fell like in love with the Lotus Elise. But now with this, right? Here comes another person into the mix, and it so happens to be the same friend that the owner of the Alice was actually talking about. So the guy Mike just shows up, is like, "Hey, I know you guys," and he joins us in the conversation. Now this is where it kind of like takes a twist, because the original, like the owner of the vehicle, the first person we were speaking to, takes off in the Lotus, and we are now like having a new conversation with this guy Mike. And Doc was running around taking pictures with Mary Lou all over Portsmouth for their like photo op. And so happens that there was being a film festival that was happening. So there was like a red carpet, catwalk, and the entire thing set up. And he just asked like, "Hey, can we take some pictures here?" And the people were really cool. They were like, "Yeah, we're having a film festival, but right now, sure, go ahead." And they did like an entire photo op, photo shoot on the red carpet, which came out really cool. Um, so that was because they were doing a film festival in Portsmouth that same exact night. And it so happens that after the fact is when we're talking with this guy, Michael, and he is talking about that he is going to this film festival, but he doesn't have any films in the festival this year because he so happens to be a creator, a videographer, a filmmaker. And that's how we started speaking some more about lenses and all the camera stuff, which led into another conversation about what he does. And apparently, he like deals with vehicles. That's why he was, hopping in and out of his friend's Elise and things like that. And as we're having like an amazing conversation, we really kind of like just hit it off, as like weird total strangers, kind of like, but at the same time, I was respecting his time because he said that he needed to go to this um, film festival. So, I respectfully say, hey, you know what? I appreciate you, but I'm not going to take any more of your time. And another one of his friends, Trevor, had showed up and they were having a conversation. So I bid them a farewell, and I made my way back up, like up the street to where I was parked to see where I could find Doc Rock. And it was funny that before I GPSed it, like I heard his voice across the street, so I looked like, oh, there he is, and I just walked across the street and started hanging out in front of this church on the corner of I could tell you right here because I have a photo of it. Boop. Let's see where we're at here. Let's see where we were. It was on the corner of Pleasant Street and Congress Street. So there's a church right there that Doc Rock was right in front of, and I'm hanging out with him. And right there, we're there with Full Gens, Anna Hill, Paul Duncan was also there. There was a couple of other people as well. Her name is Candice, and I'm sorry, but I forgot her husband's name because I just met him that day. Um, and we were just there, and I was just literally talking about how cool it was to have this conversation with Michael. And as I'm telling that to the group of people, uh, I get a honk of a horn of a car, and my name gets called out, and I turn around, and it's none other than Michael. Oh, I'm so sorry, because I'm about to butcher a part of this story, which is why he honked at me in the first place. We started talking about cars. And as we're talking about cars, I mentioned to him that I'm really into the minivans because I'm older, and with what I'm dealing with Aiden, that the minivan seems to just keep rising to the top, like the cream of the crop of the vehicles that I should get. And he was like, "Oh, I totally understand, and I like understand why you would want to get a minivan. Is very convenient." And this is just us talking about vehicles, like shooting the shit, so to speak. And as we're there, he then starts speaking about a vehicle in particular, his newest vehicle, the Toyota GR Corolla 4, a four-wheel drive, three-cylinder, 300 horsepower, which I might have mentioned here on this channel already because some of you know that I'm a car guy. And then he shows me a picture of his vehicle, and it was exactly the vehicle that I wanted. Like, I was thinking practicality, like, hey, my next vehicle should be a minivan because it would help me out. But for those of you who know me, I drive my little Toyota Cyan XD, and I'm a hot hatch guy. I like the small form factor. They're fun to drive, A to B. They're quick and zippy, and they grip up really, really well. So ever since Toyota came out with the GR Corolla, I was already like just already thinking about this vehicle. 300 horsepower, 3-cylinder, 6-speed manual transmission, like front to rear bias. You can have all-wheel drive, 70-30, meaning 70% of the power goes to the rear-wheel drive and 30 to the front, or even rear-wheel bias where it just acts like a rear-wheel drive car in the same 300 horsepower, and uh, that's when we started really talking about cars, and that was like once again before his friend Trevor and everything had showed up. So my apologies that my brain is shutting off a little bit, but I wanted to give you that context beforehand. So we were talking about like one car that I was already thinking about, like as like my ideal little hot hatch, the Toyota GR Ford Corolla. And then he shows me pictures of his like mint condition charcoal gray little hatchback, and I'm like, man, that is super super nice. So started from one car, the Toyota Elise, or the Lotus Elise. But for those of you who think that I had a Freudian slip, the Lotus has a Toyota engine. But I digress. So the Lotus Elise, right? We started talking about that. Now we're talking about the GR Corolla, and that's when his friend showed up, and he was basically effectively being late for this, the film festival. So I let them go, and that's when, once again, the story resumes where I met up with Doc Rock. And once I'm there talking to him, like I'm talking to you about this experience, he pulls up behind me, honks the horn, and says, "Hey, Luis." And as I turn around, he's in his little hatchback GR Corolla. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. You know what? I need to take a picture. So I grab my phone. And as I'm about to take a picture, he literally says, hey, you know what? I'm blocking traffic. Give me a second and I'm going to like roll, do the loop and come right back. And I go, okay, perfect. So he takes off and I'm just turn around and I'm looking at Doc and everybody. I'm like, what are the chances of that happening, right? Like, how cool is that, right? So as I was just talking about him, he shows up behind me in the car that we were like talking about. And when he shows up from the loop again, he literally just comes up to me. He's like, hey, do you want to hop in for a ride? And I'm like, hell yeah. So I made sure that it was cool with Paul and Doc and everybody there, Anna Hale and Fulgence, to just watch Aiden for me while I, take a quick test drive. And I was so enamored by it that I did something that I never do, and I pulled out my phone right away and I started recording myself and my expression of what this vehicle can do. And what ended up happening was, on top of me enjoying like the vehicle and the owner Mike showing me like what it was capable of, I was recording my real time expression of the first time in this vehicle, and I basically had like a little mini interview with Mr. Michael. He's a really interesting dude, and it so happens that he does car reviews, and he gets a new like factory vehicle delivered to his home like on a weekly basis, and that's when we started talking about cameras and FX30s and all these things and what he uses to shoot, and it was just like an amazing connection, right, as far as business goes, that I would have never thought would have even been possible, because this is someone that I literally met on the street. This wasn't like creator camp. This was after the fact of creator camp. And the fact that he was just like super cool, and he was just letting me know, he's like, bro, I'm so happy that I was able to like just share my vehicle with you, because the amount of people that like share the enthusiasm of what that GR Corolla is far like between. So he was just like, "Yo, it's super cool that I was at least able to share this with anyone, let alone such a Toyota like like race car inspired fanboy that I am myself." So it was just amazing, and I just stayed in awe. And once it was done, I made sure to get his contact information to see if there's any possibilities of us working together in the future, because that's like right up my alley, shooting and photography on cars, and the types of cars that he's dealing with are really amazing. Porsche GT3s and just like so many things that, for those of you who've been following the channel and know how I geek out on cars, we just had like an amazing 10-minute conversation. And once again, I want to thank Michael because he gave me the ability to do that as well and record my expression and our conversation. But before I release that, I have his contact information. I'm going to make sure that it's okay for me to do so because, like I said, I could just see a pretty cool friendship and a potential like a business venture that can benefit like us both and really help me out to meet the goals that I want for Mr. Aiden Alexander hanging out over here, about to jump on the chair again. So, yep, that's exactly where I'm at with it. And I just stayed in shock. And after like a half an hour, I got this immediate adrenaline dump because I was on an adrenaline high. That car worked so well. It's surprising. You can't think that it's like it's you can't even tell that it's a three-cylinder, and the way that that thing hooks up is, oh my god. So once we like hit the street and we were about to like get effectively out of town, he decided to do the U-turn to head back to where he had picked me up for this test drive. And once he turned around, he kind of like gave it the beans, and it hooked up so well. Like it hooked up where you're stuck to the back of the seat, and at the same time you're getting that like lateral or yeah, that lateral pull like or push towards the door because you're whipping the car at a much faster rate while you're doing the U-turn. It was just an exhilarating experience to be able to like drive in that vehicle or to take a test drive in it and see very little of what it was capable, and still that was all so super impressive. Which was what they're doing with that right now. So those are my thoughts on it, and that's the excitement news because I can honestly tell you, you can see I'm fading, guys. So I appreciate those of you who are still hanging out. It looks like I'm gonna have to get some sleep really soon. The food's kicking in, the itis, but yeah, it's just like an amazing opportunity, and it's something that I had mentioned to Doc Rock that I was like, I would have never, like, I can't even think up of that type of scenario like in my wildest dreams, that out of all the people to meet randomly on the street, it was another photographer, filmmaker, car enthusiast who's actually doing what I like would aspire to do in the future, which is create full on productions for vehicles that are just being like dropped off at your house on a weekly basis so that you can give your intake on whether it's ready to go or if it still needs some work. So just amazing, 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 and I'm super super grateful. Yep. Sammy says, since you have been traveling with Ecamm, where has been your favorite place to travel so far? I'm not even gonna like try to sugarcoat this. Amesbury, right? I've gone to a variety of different places, but every single time I'm in this small, quaint little town, it is just amazing. The people are so incredible. Everyone is so selfless. It is just a small town and small town vibes. Everybody that I've had the ability to meet has just been like that itself epitomized, and it's just been like super super cool. And I would have to say that as of right now, Amesbury tops the charts. I know it's biased, and that has to do with Ecamm and the headquarters being established there. But I'm not gonna lie, if that isn't something that's also beneficial to me, and to say like, yeah, it would be like pretty cool to move into an area closer to that, so to speak. Yep. Gretchen says car karma. I'm not sure what that's about because, guys, you can see me, you can see it in my eyes. Not gonna lie, it's not nighttime. I'm fading, but we did it. You know what? More than an hour even on the belated episode of 203. I have to thank you all as always for making this the place where I want to be week in and week out. No other place than the Camera Junkie YouTube channel live stream. So if you haven't gotten the gist already, well, this is episode 203, and that means there was 203 episodes of the Camera Junkie live stream consecutively, week in and week out, without skipping a beat. So mark your calendars, set it for 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make an alarm on your phone to give yourself a reminder that Mr. Camera Junkie is going to be going live, and any questions that you might have, I'll be happy to help. And if not, then you're more than welcome to just hang out here with me and enjoy yourself in the conversation chat, because that's the type of community that I want to foster. So if you haven't done so already, please be sure to like, please be sure to subscribe so that you're notified of the next time that I go live, even though you can just set it like clockwork that I'll be back in the MIA, back in Miami, doing this live once again next week for episode 204. And then we will just be 4 weeks away from episode 208, the magical 208. 208 will be 4 consecutive years of the Camera Junkie live stream. And I have no one to thank but all of you who take the time and hanging out here with me week in and week out. You guys make this, once again, like I said, the place where I'd rather be, and there's no other place that I'd want to be. So thank you again for making this so special. We're very close to 2,000 camera junkies in the crew. And so, if you haven't done so already, like I said, please be sure to subscribe. Not only would you be helping me reach that mark, but you will also be getting notified of everything that I do from here on out. So, everyone, take care of yourselves and each other, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces when we do it all over again right here on the YouTube, on the Mr. Camera Junkie YouTube channel. Same time, same place, and I can't wait to see your smiling face next week. And until then, I will talk to you later.